This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.
All right, so there's a distinction between a debt discharge and a debt paid. When discharged, the debt still exists though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of the discharge. Something of the original vitality of the debt continues to exist, which may be transferred, even though the transferee takes it subject to its disability incident to the discharge. So what they're saying, if you discharge a debt, it doesn't necessarily go away. That debt is still can be collected on. They can pass it on. They can assign it to someone else. So you don't want to do discharge. It's basically what this is saying. You want to be able to extinguish the debt completely, where they're not coming back to you for it. And the only way to do it is to organize your estate properly, and we're going to show you the steps of what you need to do. All right? The fact that it carries something which may be a consideration for a new promise to pay, so as to make an otherwise worthless promise a legal obligation, makes it the subject of transfer by assignment. This is why when people are trying to discharge, they'll ignore you and still collect. And I could tell you, this has been my experience. Now, this is something I did to a car I had purchased. I had a note on some years ago when I was trying to play around with different methods of discharge. I went in on the account electronically, figured out what my account number through my Social Security was, put in those numbers, and paid the debt in full. It lasted for 2 weeks and it came back. But here's the interesting thing about it. When it came back, it never hit my credit report again. Although they kept calling me for the money and wanted the money and threatened to take the car if I didn't make the payments. That car to this day is not showing that I paid off that car or did anything. And reading this definition helps me understand why. I did not extinguish the debt. I discharged it, but I didn't get the obligation off of me. So therefore, we got this payment by way of discharge through the Social Security number, but hey, this guy don't know what he's doing. We're going to still hang him up and get the money anyway. This is why if any of you have ever done discharge the other ways where you make the money or as a minimum, they'll keep that money order, never send it back, but still want you to keep the money. Can anybody on here agree with what I just said? Have that same experience? I know there's a couple of people on here, at least 2 people on here have had that experience. Right? And they'll act like they don't even say that they received a bad check. They just ignore it. Am I right or wrong?
True.
Right. So that means there's something to that process. It's just not complete. It's something missing that you don't know and they know you don't know. So they'll just come back because, of course, they're not going to want the whole public to become aware. If everybody was able to just write these money orders and send it to these people, it would shut their whole system down. So they like discharge. They love it when people get on the internet and claim you can discharge because they're getting free money. They're making millions of dollars every year off of people sending in these instruments and then ignore them. You never hear from them again. I've come to I believe that when you see these people on the internet and they get these huge followings out of it, y'all look at my videos. I know I got a lot of followers, but I don't get a lot of views, or it doesn't show I get a lot of views. But these other people come out of nowhere and they got thousands of views. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Huh? They get thousands of views teaching this stuff, And then after a while, maybe 7-8 months, they disappear. No one has got remedy at all. They never come back and say no one got remedy. They just disappear. I believe that's them putting people out there to lure people in to do these discharge processes so they can keep those instruments. You're putting more money.
I called one out.
Huh?
I called one out on Instagram. There's a woman just showing them at the dealership with on the car and all this. I said, I know you're an agent. I know for a fact you're an agent, but you.
All right. It is Truth Tuesday with your host, Akeem L, here on Hindsight Radio, in conjunction with the Church of Infinite Abundance and Akeem Private Church. What you were listening to right there was the discharge webinar that I did this past Saturday. Quite a few people supported the cause, and they learned a lot of stuff. Funny thing is, I sent out the invitation for the discharge seminar coming up in this month on the 21st, Saturday in Atlanta. The flyer's right there. There it is. Courtyard, Atlanta, 133 Carnegie Way. We talked mainly at this webinar about discharge, and actually showed the 1099 templates and went in why you do it this way. We showed the trust that are required, all of that stuff we went through. And you know what the funny thing is? The funny thing about the whole thing, the discharge, they teach you how to do it on it. If you read the instructions of the 1099, the instructions is right there on what needs to be done. No, people want to listen to their friends and people they believe are telling the truth about stuff. The thing that gets me, people are willing to try stuff that people who are teaching them have not even done it themselves or even shown any proof of it. But it makes sense to me, so I think it'll work. Well, if it's that good, someone should be able to come forward and say it worked. I mean, at least one person. Never happens that way. And I believe the reason why people are so easily caught up is because their mindset is so in this place of getting something for nothing. They're willing to just overlook common sense in order to do it. I had that mindset at one point until I woke up and said, what are you doing, man? Go out there and just make your money and just pay those things. You did enter into a contract, right? I mean, there's people just stressing themselves out trying to get around this, what we call the system, and no further along than they was when they started. Actually, they behind. They behind the 8 ball. That's what happens when you start playing with your mortgage, right? You get into foreclosure, it starts building up on you. The only way you're going to come out of foreclosure is a modification. Then they're going to take all that back money you didn't pay and put it on the back of that loan. And now you right back where you started with a 30-year plus mortgage starting over. Messing with these gurus. And I can tell you in the method that we are teaching, you have to be an honor in order for it to work. You have to be making those payments. Anyway, I ain't going to get into all of that. Listen up. 10/21/23, 9 a.m. to 5. Sometimes you're going to find yourselves in a situation where you feel like you're being done wrong, but actually you're being done right because it's setting you up for the bigger opportunity. So always keep your integrity. Always. Never let your integrity go by the wayside, because integrity is all you got. Your reputation is all you got. And yes, being truthful and honorable will cause you to lose something short term only. And you lost that because it was protecting you for something bigger. And from that, I mean, I got lifelong connections in that community. You know, sometimes we talk, hey, Akeem, what's up? What you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You make connections. People who know my reputation, they call me, hey, this guy, he's dependable. And that's what you want to be. You want to be dependable to your people, to everyone. Yo, what's up? Make sure my mic is working. All right, yo. So, get this hat right. Got kind of hot because I'm drinking my Santa Ana stuff again, and it heated up in here real fast. All right, well, what's today? March the 23rd, 2025. And I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing great. You know, I'm doing good. A lot of good things happened to me last week. Just amazing things. But it's amazing how when you take expectations off of things, like these misguided expectations, especially, and that's the title of the show, Expectations. That's what I like, expectations. And I want to break that down, like really go into that, because that, I believe, is the key to why people suffer. Why we suffer? Why do we suffer? Because sometimes our expectations, what we rely on, what we want to happen in the situation doesn't work out exactly how we expect it to work out. We get disappointed. We might get angry. And sometimes expectations do, your expectations are met or they exceed, and then you're happy. But when you have these expectations, they either go good or they go bad. That expectation is controlling your emotions, or you allow it to control your emotion. Doesn't have to. But back to what I was saying, life is good for me. It's always good. Even when it looks like it's not going right, it's good. Because at the end of a bad situation, I can see why it went that way. If you just hold your thoughts, hold your actions accountable, and you just pause, you say, man, this didn't work out. I was really wanting this to happen, but it didn't work out. And then you look at the bigger picture. You look at it from a overview, like have a God perspective, meaning having a, like, you're looking down on the situation where you can see everything. You realize that something that's not going right for you is actually going right for you. You're just in a state of resistance in the moment of, wait a minute, I don't know where this is going. This is not going where I expected it to go. So you get either anxious, upset, afraid. And when you're in those states of consciousness, you're not allowing the universe to work in your favor. When you are in fear, anxiety, depressed, upset, anger, you're really resisting the path that whatever that is taking. Because you had this one ironclad expectation of where you wanted it to go, where you thought the direction it should take. And because you don't think it's going in that direction, you get, wait a minute, hold on, I gotta control this. But a lot of times when I let go of the expectation of how I thought it should all play out in a certain way and just lay back, it usually plays out better than I expected. And if you really look back on your situations where things really turned out better than you expected, that's because you didn't have a hardcore expectation on how it was supposed to play out. And it gave you what you wanted, and it gave you even more. See, it's from because we're so hardcore programmed by this system from the very beginning, from our own birth, like when we born, how they cut the umbilical cord, how they just that whole traumatic experience that they give in the hospital. From that right there is comes out a lot of trauma. And I'm like learning how deep this rabbit hole goes when it comes to women having birth. Like, as a man, she had birth and, there was some pain and this, that. But you would never know it as a man if you're not really in it and going through that process. You don't know. You really don't know. You just have an idea of it may not be good. And just I'm gonna take a side road for a second. And I'll get back. I promise you. But let me take a sip on this first. Ooh. So, excuse me. So, and I've been talking about this a lot lately. I've talked about it in the years past about the birth and how that's a program and that's a system of destroying our true divinity. But just really looking at it, taking a real closer look. And I've said this in the past. This system is after everyone, right? But it has to attack the feminine first. Why? Because everybody comes through the woman's womb. And I've said this before. I've said this, it may sound like I'm repeating myself, and maybe I am, because we really need to understand this. This is why we all fucked up, because they are really on the attack of the woman. That's where the assaults are. That's where the crimes are being committed. And then it's by design. It's like specific. Because if you can attack that woman in her most vulnerable state of giving birth, or even during that stage, you're giving all of these prenatal vitamins, which I believe, and I do research, that prenatal vitamins is just a precursor to abortions. They're like abortion pills. And and yeah, they be giving different pills to people of color. Oh, I came you on this conspiracy theory. Yeah, maybe I am. But yeah, they give different formulations for the true woman of the earth. I don't know. You white folks who maybe listen might be offended. I don't give a shit. But y'all know y'all come from that woman of color. Y'all know y'all carbon copies. Not even carbon copies. Y'all a copy of the real. No, well, and we ain't talking to y'all. So, if you want to choose to stay on, I appreciate it. But truth is the truth. If you go after the original, you attack the original. And I know I was talking about expectations, but I got to talk about this. You go to the original, the one female that has all DNA, that carries all of the genetic code of all mankind. Then what happens to everything that comes through that womb? if you taint it, if you attack it. What happens? Then everything that comes through that womb is tainted as well. That's why the preservation of the feminine is mandatory. I'm talking about this woman of color, Black, Latino, whatever nationality you want to call it. This is why they build the abortion clinics in the neighborhoods of the people of color and get them to buy into the idea of aborting their children. Right? This is why they I mean, y'all, I'm not Margaret Sanger. Y'all ain't never heard of her? Like, y'all know these are planned agendas. So if you go after that divine feminine, the original, then you got everybody under your control. You got them. And this is the plan. This is why they want to have you have children in hospitals and get birth certificates and get socials. Did y'all just? I know I'm out there, but I'm gonna come back. Right? Did y'all know that the number 9, which you get a 9-digit social, and and the gestation period of a child is 9 to 10 months, approximately, more. I was taught recently that it's actually 10 months. But when the European intellect says 9. And I'm gonna say this as an extra. Anything coming out of European theology or information, you have to assume that it's false. So what I'm saying is you must vet it. You must go and research it. Because everything coming out of the European mindset is all about promoting an agenda of their superiority. So that means that they will solicit, pay off scientists, religious leaders, political leaders in order to promote their ideals, to make it sound or seem truthful. There's a scripture that the devil has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, portraying himself as the angel of light. So that's why I have issues with people who talk about Pan-Africanisms and stuff like that. I have issues like, wait a minute, that isn't it the whole the slavery diaspora coming out of these different places over here as slaves? Isn't that part of the European teaching? So you don't believe this part, but you believe this part. When I tell you that the original people, I got books, Ancient Americas, that show you that they took the original people here and turned them into slaves. That they took people from one part of this continent and moved them to the southern part of the continent, what we call South, which should be North, and made them slaves. They were just busting them up right around the East Coast from the northern parts, what we call northern New England, Boston, and all of that, and took them and put them up there in the South. And so these people were hoodwinked. Where do you think the term hoodwink comes? They put a hood over there. They don't know where the hell they're going. All they know, they was on some water and they ended up in this place what we call the South as slaves. And I had a conversation with people the other day. I was like, tell me when the last time. Now I'm way out there in the deep water. Like I'm like way away from expectations right now. But as Santa Ana said, I have to talk about this right now. So I'm gonna follow this. So when we talk about people like George Washington, like where's his relatives? And then when you read the history on him, it's very limited about his family background. And they tell that story about his father, he chopping down his father's cherry tree, which is symbolism of him cutting down the Moorish Empire or the people of color's empire. And like only people I know with the last name Washington, we call them Black or African American. I don't know any white people with the last name Washington. I mean, there's nobody coming out on George Washington's birthday talking about this is my relative. Yeah, he's mine. He's somewhere. There's nobody talking on the news or nothing. Say, oh yeah, I'm related to him. He's my, I'm related to him, great uncle, grandfather, just that and the other cousin. Nobody has ever come on any news and said they was related to this man. But when I went to school, every Washington I know was dark, light skinned, somewhere in between. That's all I know. But yet, so they took his name. Oh, when they did, then I read some nonsense about how they took that name because they was named that and they kept with it. He was their slave owner. See, this is the bullshit they gotta tell you to make their shit make sense. Maybe I should be sharing this right now because I'm into the history, like real history. Because when you study the archives, you go to the records. Why the hell do you think they burned down all different counties, especially in Wilmington, North Carolina? They burned down the the clerk of court offices where they kept all the records so that they could come in and start a new one and take on the identity of those people. Some of these things, these misconceptions that we believe are European names ain't European names at all. Because if you trace back and you go back to Europe or England and you start to see that, wait a minute, why y'all not talking about them black popes? Why y'all not talking about this Black Mary or this Mary that's sitting um down there in the cathedral of the Vatican that they hiding from y'all? Why y'all not talking about that? Y'all understand why they upset with Russia, right? Because he revealed all that stuff. He showed all of these pictures. So they had to create a narrative to distract you from who you are, who you really are, who is truly the people of this world, the people who own this planet. And yes, I said planet, own it. If I told you that you are the descendants of the owners of the planet, not just land, see, y'all thinking about land patents and all this shit. No, of this planet. Oh, let me take it a little further. Of this whole system of planets. See, y'all thinking small when y'all talking land. When I talk about you got left here, because it was a small window to get off the planet to go back to where the originals came from. And they making movies, originals, and all of this stuff, but they put white people in that place. Every Egyptian movie, they show a white person takes the role. Why? Because they know images is powerful. This is how we taught. We taught through imagery, carvings. Hakeem is way off the topic of expectation. I'll get there. I'll get back there soon. But this is important. for you to know who you truly are. Because see, the handwriting is on the wall for all of these lies. It's like it's done. They finished. And now these truths they've been coming out. People have been talking about these truths. And this is why they attack the woman. Because if you understand how you became to an existence, like the true how you really came into existence, that the hold on. The true arc of the covenant. What is a covenant? A trust, a contract, right? Like this, according to the Bible, it's a contract that God had with his people. The ark of the, and only a certain to get to this ark of the covenant. I was watching this video and they were talking about this remote being, but I'm not going to get into the details, but it sparked my memory. If you really understood the true arc of the covenant, right? Let me help you with something else. The Bible talked about another ark, and that was Moses's ark, right? Where he had to take all the animals and all of this stuff and all of that. Now, when you think about that on a physical level, the amount of feces that this ark would be holding to maintain all of the animals and let me just make it make sense to you. In New York, when everything was drawn by horse and buggy, they had a horse manure problem. Like horse shit was everywhere. And they didn't know what to do with it, right? Now it's just on a New York level, right? So imagine being in an ark 40 days, 40 nights, and you got all these animals shitting and doing all kind of stuff in this ark. I thought I was going to talk about it. I'm going to still talk about it. But shit. I'm like so way out there. So, like, what they did with all of the feces, just that alone, and the smell would be crazy. They said New York smelled so bad at one point. Y'all can do the research. Y'all can go look it up. Horse manure problem in New York City, right? And that makes you think, like, this guy, they was on a boat for 40, this ark for 40 days and 40 nights, all this stuff and everything. But then when you really understand, when you really get the call, when you really get the enlightenment, the illumination of what the truth really is, the ark is simply the female genetic code of all of the genetic blueprint of all humanity. That was the ark. And I'm being told I can't go no further than that. That is the ark of the covenant. Now, is there an ark of the covenant that holds these secrets? Yes. And it will, you open, they actually can get somebody with the right genetic code, they can open up that box. And it'll show you that who the true ark of the covenant is. Well, if y'all don't believe me, I'll prove it this way. Your Lord and Savior Christ, right? First of all, uh, when God, as they defined it in the Bible, came to the woman, came to Mary, he said this. He said, "You will have a son, and you will name him Emmanuel." There was no Jesus there to be found, right? That was a covenant. At that time, he made Mary the ark of the covenant to bring about the Savior into the world. Come on now. The true history or what you believe to be true history. Let me change that. What you believe to be true history is not, it's the opposite. The true God or controller or owner of this realm is feminine. Oh, I know you brothers are hating that one. They done told us we the boss, we this and that. Y'all been disillusioned. And I'm gonna make it make sense right here. And and it's written in every man's genetic code. It's written in your code on how you to tell you that it's feminine, because as a man, if you're a true man and you understand your masculinity, everything you do is in the pleasing, in the service of the woman that you're with. I'm gonna let you sit on that. Just think about that, what I just said. Think about every action you've taken up to this point. Everything you do is always in the service of that woman that you're with, that you're trying to protect, provide, and uplift. Think about it. The reason why we are out of sync because we don't even know our true role. See, we had the structures out there that told us what masculinity really is when it really wasn't us. That's the ins ligas masculinity. And what I'm saying doesn't make you weak as a man. No, you have to recognize your power, like your true power. There's certain things we can do, right? You know, physically, we build roads, we do plumbing, we build houses. And why are we doing these things? So that it can make the life easier of the woman in our life and our children that are less or not as strong as we are as men. So when you look at the role of men and you really pay attention, it's really in service. It's a service role. Not that you're a slave. No, don't get that confused. You're not a slave. It's just you're a service role. You're there to make the life of the wisdom. And here's the thing, 5%ers had this knowledge, and they had the knowledge. Although, you know, in New York and the 5%ers tend to be very divisive and stuff like that because you had people with low mentality, no consciousness, didn't really understand the power of what those teachings that they were getting. They always referred to their women as wisdom, as the Bible refers to the feminine aspect as wisdom. Who was that was at I always get the names confused, but it's the story where I think it was Rachel. I think her name was Rachel, if I'm not mistaken. When Abraham sent the servant out to find a wife for Isaac. I could be getting names wrong, but and showed up when they showed up to the certain place, Rachel comes out. No one asked her anything, and she just saw that all of the camels or whatever they were riding needed water, and she just automatically just went and serviced those animals. I could get the scripture, I could pull it up, but I'm not. So she saw the situation, she saw the need, she saw it was wisdom. She provided the service to feed, and that was the woman that they picked to be Isaac's wife. Right? And one day I'll go break that down. It's about wisdom. So here's now back to see. I said all of this to get right to this point. I just to this point right here. This is why they have to damage and traumatize the female. Because through trauma, you kick into what you call survival mode. And in survival mode, wisdom is not there. It's very hard to use wisdom in a traumatic state of mind. So they know this. So if the woman is acting out of survival mode, wisdom goes by the wayside. Now, all of her descendants, everyone that comes through her, picks up that blueprint. And that's where we are right now today. That's why the protection of the female is of utmost importance. And any person or man that can't see that, you're lost. Because the reason why it's important, because your child comes through that womb. And if your child is coming through a womb that is coming through a traumatic womb, guess what it's going to do? That's going to get passed on. And we're going to keep having these problems. And this is why man system attacks the female. I mean, just look at it. All of the beauty commercials, I mean, they don't market beauty to men and what do you call what's the word I want to use? Vain ideologies to men, because we don't care about makeup and all that stuff. We just throw something on and be done with. You know, we want to look good to an extent, but we're not putting on makeup. They don't market. They market that to the feminine mindset to make her think that her original beauty is not good enough. And if her original beauty is not good enough, if she feels that way, that's vibrating into her very everything in her energy, and trying to live up to a beauty standard that man has created. And that's the interesting part. It ain't females creating these systems, it's male mindsets that's creating this system. And it's a particular mindset. It's a particular mindset that is totally in opposition or at war with the feminine. There's a certain particular male on this planet that is very jealous of the feminine or women. And that's why you see the cross-dressing and the transgender. It's very jealous. Because they were, I was told to shut up on that one. But one day, maybe I'll be able to tell you what the real issue is. One day. One day I'll tell you. But it's important to understand that the attack is see, locking the men up, putting them in jail is a byproduct, is a symptom of the greater problem. Because the man of color was put here, is here as a protection mechanism. It's the force to ward off that evilness. But if you have contaminated the mind of the female to be against her own protection, and you've contaminated the mind of the male to be against his own wisdom, you won. And that's what you see. That's what you see on the internet. All of these channels, especially, and the men that talk about how bad the woman of color is, the black woman, whatever you want to call it. I really don't like using those terms because I know they're not true. They're fake names to throw us off the course. But I see channels just pointing out all of the things that's wrong with women of color. And they are part of the European power, white power structure. And they don't even know it. But yeah, Akeem, black women talk about black men. Yeah, so what? I ain't talking about that. That's true. That's another agenda. They let that fly. Yeah, they let it fly because it's part of it. It helps the agenda. If it worked in the reverse, it wouldn't work for them. It works when they have programmed the sister against the brother and she could get to talk about it and let them talk about that all the way through. Why? Because the man is the army, is the strength. He's the one that can put the lights out and bring the pain. So yeah, get her to do that. That's the agenda. Get her to not depend on her man to protect her and provide for her. Make situations so hard for him that he can't make money, where she won't trust him and she'll go trust the white boss. Yeah, that's the agenda. But we are men. We're strong. We have to see through that. That's called understanding your enemy, the art of war. So wait a minute. This is a boom, boom. Don't let me fall into the trap of being the one to make YouTube channels talking about black women or women of color. Because then now I'm also helping and aiding in that agenda when I do that. Now, I've watched some of these channels and I'm, oh, yeah, I agree with that. Yes, those things may be facts and that's what's happening, but we have to look past that. We have to go beyond what they're talking about and see, okay, why is this conversation even happening? Like, why are we having this problem? Why is such a divide between us? Because we've been pitted, we've been programmed against each other. I mean, you go just in schools, you get history in school. And especially when I came up, I could only speak for that. It was always a European information, meaning that Indians were savages, everything of color was bad, and everything in white was coming to uplift and program and get them to see God the true way. When that was the devil. See, the 5%ers had it right. When they said the devil was that European mindset. Yeah, that's the devil. Because anything that programs you to think bad about yourself and your people is the devil. It's an adversary. That's what the devil, meaning of the devil, manslayer, adversary of thinking. And there's forces at play to perpetrate, infiltrate, and promote those ideals. So don't let anybody fool you into thinking that it starts with you. You picked up these ideologies and programmed yourself with these ideologies, and this is why, black folks don't work together. That's where it came from. That's why you have to, working with your own people is very difficult because of the programming is so jacked up, and they're the ones you have to really worry about because the system is so well oiled and working in conjunction and working for the benefit of that white power structure that it's on remote control. They're not even pushing buttons anymore. We are. We're creating the YouTube channels talking about each other. We're creating channels going back and forth arguing with each other. That's why when my beef came out years ago, y'all could go back. It took great strength to even try to go back at the person that was coming after me. But I knew what the problem was. If I fell into that mode, I would be no different than any of the other people that they see us going back and forth and not being able to work together. And on the other hand, I'm God. Shit. Why do I need to argue back and forth with someone about my Godship? Say what you want. I'm who I am. You don't change that. And brothers, this is just a word of advice. If you get the right wisdom in your life, when I mean wisdom, feminine wisdom in your life, she'll shut that down immediately. It's like, you don't need to talk about that. Forget about that. And shut it down immediately. And if you're a man and you recognize it, you be like, yeah, you're right. I don't need to. Because you are who you are. And no one can define that but you. Now, back to expectations. Now, because it ties in. Because they created these agendas that gave you certain expectations of the world that are so skewed and so jacked up or fucked up, and we bought into them, it has made every expectation that's born from that dysfunctional mindset bad. And this is why you have unrealistic expectations on your relationships and unrealistic expectations on yourself. And this is why your expectations are dysfunctional. And once you realize that your expectations are dysfunctional because it's born out of a dysfunctional mindset or dysfunctional system that is dysfunctional but functional to the point that it's working perfectly to divide you from your wisdom and divide you from your protection. See, the moment men, as you start looking at your woman as a problem and not a solution, your expectations of her is problems and not solutions, you have just bought into those white power, supremacy, power structure. Because if you are in your right masculinity, if you are in your right mindset, you're never going to pick a woman that's going to go against that. You're going to pick a woman that is supporting you, will give you the wisdom. And as a man, if you want to call yourself a man who's a leader, you will be able to take that wisdom from your woman and use it to your advantage. To not just your advantage, because men, let's keep it real. We don't work and do all of these things to provide big houses, nice cars, and the big bank accounts for ourselves because we don't need it. We can live in survival mode, just have enough to eat, a place to lay our head and get some sleep. And that's all we really we can survive on that. But the reason why we strive for the bigger things, if you are a true masculine man, you do it for the family. Everything I do, trust and all that, is to leave something behind for my people. That's it. That's what motivates me. I want to leave this for them. This most importantly, the education. And the second most important, the finances. Right? The education is important because then they can pass that knowledge down. The finances is important. While they're passing the knowledge down, they can live comfortably or abundantly. See, I ain't trying to just live comfortably. I'm trying to live abundant. Like, okay, like a Saudi prince. Okay, that costs $1 million. Okay, I want $1 million. Here's a check. Go do your thing. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I feel I was born to live in. That's my true inheritance. I'm not speaking for y'all. I'm speaking for me. Now, where was I? Expectations, right? We are placing expectations on each other based on a white European power structure that was designed to destroy us. Let's just even on the birthing schedule, like our expectations to have birth, we expect to have it in the hospital. We expect the doctor to do this and them to cut their blood. All those expectations is fucking us up. It really is. All of that. And there's only one way to fix these things. We have to move away. The other day, somebody sent me a video. And it was a video about how Trump is something about desegregation, segregation. He was getting rid of that and all of this stuff where they're going to go back to segregation of this and that. That's what the video was purporting that Trump was trying. Now, of course, they sent this to me out of fear. Oh, they're going to treat us like second-class citizens again. I was like, oh, so? I welcome the idea that we're not eating in the same where I want to eat from the people of color food because there ain't no seasoning in the other ones. Okay, so what's the problem? I don't want to eat nowhere where I'm not welcome. Why would I want somebody to feed me that hate me? Come on, that's why I never understood about the civil rights movement. That's why I always believed that whole scenario was a psyop, like it was all rigged to get us right where we are right now. And if you don't believe me, where are we right now? We followed that, and here we are. The only reason why they gave Martin Luther King a holiday was because he did his job and integrated you into a burning building. A failing system, a dysfunctional system. Now here we are. We're accepting their medical advice. We're accepting their birthing scenarios, all of that stuff. And how is it helping us? Wow. Wow. We accepted their educational requirements when ours was far superior than any European form of education. Why? Because it came from your ancestors. May the ancestors have blessings on this podcast. May the powers, the spirits that protect me and guide me, protect this information and protect me and all. Because I know right now that this is not something they want to hear. So what? I got it. I won't even say that. I pity the fool, like Mr. T say, that try to come against what I'm saying. Mr. T said, I pity the fool because you're not going up against me. I'm here just giving the message. The ones that want this message out here and want me to tell y'all these things, they powerful. Y'all, I suggest y'all sit back and just enjoy the ride and listen to what I have to say. You don't have to agree with it and do not, do whatever you want. But hey, don't go to war because you will have problems. So I'm just putting it out there. I had to say that was told. I must see. Before destruction, warning comes before destruction. And a lie can only last for so long. And I kind of went somewhere else. I'm off expectations again. Your people, and I'm talking to people of color, your people didn't come from Africa. Came from right here. This is your land. This is where you're from. But let me just make it a little plainer. And before I make it a little plainer, I'm gonna take a sip. Let me just clear up the confusion. And I said it earlier, but I'm gonna reinforce it. But I'll start off like this. Whenever they try to show you Africa, Egypt, and all of these lands far away from here as the source in the original, there you should not look. Because the source in the original started here and it spread out there. Because the pyramids here in this North American continent is way older than the ones over in Egypt. See, they want you to go over there and look. For those things. And I'm not saying that there are things of a significance that you need to go watch and pay attention to. But when you start to look at what I call we brought this out years ago, called the exotic map, every country, there's a place of the same name on this North American continent. Also, Mexico, South Central North America. If you go study all of these places, the seat in the heart of the civilization of this world, of this what you call the seeding of this planet, the terraforming of this planet, it starts there and it spread out. And as it got out to the African and all those other places, that's when what they call the fall of man or the fall of consciousness, where we started to lose and forget who we are. And then people showed up. Wait a minute, how did this happen? What is this? And they started to reverse engineer and said, wait a minute, this ain't ours. This is these people. Well, we can't tell that story because it makes us look insignificant. It'll make us look like, well, how did we get here 6,000 years ago? And our history only goes no more than 6,000 history. Here you go. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, you know who I'm talking about. How did we only got a presence on this planet 6,000 years ago? How did we just show up? Genesis said the truth. It said, let us make man in our image and likeness. And this is how they showed up 6,000 years ago. In the ark, the true ark, which is the feminine, with all the genetic code of mankind, I got shut down right there. I can't go further than the part that genetic code mixed in with another genetic code. There you go, the 6,000-year-old man. Or if y'all remember an old TV series, the $6 Million Man. Okay, I'm laughing, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. We can restore him. We can put him back together. Dun, 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 dun. And coincidentally, he was the European. Put him back. But we can put him back together. All right. Some of y'all get what I'm saying. Let me tell you like this. After I took that swig, hold on, let me get another swig. Let me get another swig. Because before I say this, because this is going to all make sense. This is all going to make sense when I say it. Good old Santa Ana. She be doing it. I got to go get a case of this. I know I keep y'all in suspense, but because I have to pause and really tell y'all something. Ooh. That's about, y'all ever notice some drunks be spitting out some wisdom? Y'all don't be paying attention to them drunks, but them drunks be that spirit. They be dropping it. Hold on. Now they telling me my disk space is too low. Let me get this out before they shut me down. All right. AI, artificial intelligence. They done had that artificial intelligence a long time ago, and it's called the $6 Million Man. Or let us make man in our image and likeness. The true Ark of the Covenant, which is the feminine who held all of the DNA code of everything. Every man, every life. What we call humans now. That was, y'all do know that's an in-legal name, human being. Human being didn't start getting associated until our ancestors pulled out that DNA from the ark, which is the feminine, the woman, and created. This is the one being that did not come from her womb and created that $6 Million Man with the drop in the test tube and put it all together and see how it was formed and gestated in a tube. That was the original test tube baby. Or if you go further along past that, the original Cabbage Patch baby. And that's why the Bible says, from dust you come, dust you will return. We age different because earth dust and stardust is two different things. And I'll leave it right there. And back to expectations. It's your expectations that's causing you to suffer. That's the true cause of suffering. All suffering born out of expectations that are not met. And because we believe they should have been met, we fight against it. What's happening here? Instead of looking at the situation and standing back and say, okay, this is happening. Let me accept that. Maybe my idea of how it should play out is the problem. And maybe this is playing out in my favor because everything is working in your favor 100% of the time. Everything is working according to God's will, your will. Even in the situation we find ourselves in this system that is trying to harm us, it's working according to your will because we have contracted with it and accepted it as the truth. And then once we realize that it is not the truth, we don't need these systems, but these systems need you to feed off of you. In the Matrix, how did the machines even work? They had to feed off of the people in order to keep themselves alive. In order to keep themselves, the machines going, the artificial intelligence. See, they got you thinking artificial intelligence is mechanical, glittery, silvery metal things. But you're dealing with another higher form of artificial intelligence that knew that if they didn't take control of your mind, there was nothing that could stop you. Tower of Babel. That was the weakness. That was the entry point. Get the information and demonize it or bastardize it and make them believe it. We got them. Because if they don't believe this and they know who they truly are, there's nothing they can do to stop us. There's nothing that they won't be able to do. They'll be able to stop us at anything. That's what it is. Get that woman's mind. Get that feminine mind. Get her. Get her. Get her. Get her by all means necessary. We'll try and do anything. We'll create experiments. We'll introduce disease into the community. We'll educate them. The very educational system you're sending your children to is the enemy's form of information that will always attack you and destroy you. Yes, some of us get through and we become millionaires and billionaires off this information. But for the most part, as a whole, you look at it as a whole, it's destruction. But then they'll blame the victim. Well, they ain't doing what they supposed to do. We do have some lazy ones. And do I agree that on this next phase of consciousness, which is coming very rapidly, and this is why they're promoting just throwing so much confusion at you at once that you can't even see straight. Some of us will not make it. Die. That's 100%. We not. And to be truthful, they ain't. You don't want them to make it. There's a new generation coming because the time has come for us to take our rightful our place. We went through this time because some of our ancestors didn't do right, and because they didn't step up to the plate in honor of the ancestors. Because if you study any ancient text, it's always about honoring traditions of your ancestors. We bought into a bastardized form of traditions, and it destroyed us. We never needed to ride someone else's bus system. We never needed to eat in someone else's kitchen. We never needed someone else's jobs. We had our own. We created our own within our own community. And when we did that, they came and purposely bombed everything. 1919, summer of 1919 is a perfect example of that. While there was all the European countries were off at war fighting each other, even those movies they make, oh, we fought to work and fight in World War One and Two. What the hell for? What are you proud of that? That's them. That's their business. That they want to fight against each other, let them. They want to destroy each other, let them. We don't need to be part of that. We are a vibrant people. We survive under the most extreme conditions. That tells you do y'all understand living under this atmosphere, under this system, under the chemtrails, under the poisoning of the food is what's keeping you from having your true divine superpowers? Some of us crack through and exhibit them on a lower level. Wow. It's 11:11. I've been talking for an hour straight. All right. I think I said enough. I think I said enough. I think y'all got the point. And if those who don't agree with what I said, okay. I mean, it ain't be the first time that somebody disagreed. And I know it ain't gonna never be the last. It's just the way it is. But if you take anything away from what I just said, understand your true power and what is going on. Sisters, y'all should not be allowing this system to control your mind so much that you you don't believe that you are the god of this planet. How can you not be? How can you not be? I mean, even in their own science, they're proving that the genetic code comes from the woman of color. Everybody else is just a carbon copy. And once you reintegrate, this is why they're promoting these what we define as interracial marriages, because integration is the only way of their survival. They tried that separate thing, we ain't going no. Oh, it ain't working. Like they have already talked about how critical mass, the critical level of they will be extinct in less than 30 years. Before it was 50, 100. Now it's like 30, 20. And I suspect by next year it's going to get even shorter because they don't know how to count. But see, the idea is okay. They at this time it's so critical. Well, we can't stop that. So now let's Europeanize or colonize the mind. Let's work on that. So now, even though we won't have that color thing going, we'll have the mind thing going. You better go start researching these ancient texts, these ancient books. See, I researched stuff. I was doing numerology information. It said my recording stopped because I don't have enough space. It's interesting on this show. It did that. I'll figure it out. But it's interesting that where was I going? That distracted me. It's gone. That means I was supposed to shut up. Listen, know your power. Men, women, know your power. Know the power of who you are and know the power of who is there to assist you with who you are. The problem is we've been connecting, and I've learned, I've really figured this out. I knew it, but I'm really figuring this out now. That just because a person has that same skin color, their complexion, or even similar national backgrounds, that doesn't make them a suitable partner. I learned that. It doesn't. We have to remove the physical looks and look at the spiritual look. Something I want to share with you, but I'm going to get permission first before I share it. Maybe Tuesday I'll share it with you, but I got to get permission to do it first. I got to get wisdom first. All right. Yeah, I got a seminar coming up the end of the week, Saturday and Sunday in Maryland, Columbia, Maryland. Let me put this thing up. I think this is the flyer. No. What am I doing? I'm putting somebody. There it is. I think this is it. There it is, right there. March 29th, 30th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll be talking about trust, the church, private banking, debt elimination. I'm going to be really, that's just touching the surface what I'm going to break down. And if I have Santa Ana with me, I'm going to call my boy Dax and see if he'll bring me a bottle. It's gonna be, if it's anything like what I've been talking about, like today, I'm talking about that's all I was. I wrote the title of that show a week ago, and here I was talking about $6 million man and all of that stuff. And it's mentioned they call it $6 million man, and then the number of the beast is the 6. Oh man, let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. That I gotta talk about that in private. Y'all be ready for that in private. First, before I go, let me give a shout out to the chat people. All right. We got what the heck? Like an apple says, peace to the gods and much light. Peace back to you, God. Every time I click on something, this thing go away. It says, peace, Akeem. My God. Peace, everyone. See King Bay. DJ just said, peace, Almighty. In La Vida. Peace, everyone. I don't know why y'all don't forget to put y'all channels in the link. Please do that. Please. Thank you. I want to promote your business. Cacnat says, peace to all. I want that liquor you got. You're speaking Here it is. There it is. You can get it. You actually can buy this online. There it is. Get a good look at it. Yeah. I love, I've done a lot, I've drank different things. I had the cha-cha. That's good. But this right here, we doing it. And heavy, deep truths. I got my introduction to consciousness through the nation of the gods in Earth 777. Yep. There you go. Is it not a form of 5%ers? Yeah, my father. Do y'all know how I got my name? Akeem? My father was a 5%er. And that's the name he picked. And my mother liked the name and she named me. My mom was 17 when she had me. That's how I got it. That's how I got my name. None of my brothers and sisters, they got Greg and Paul and Michael, Devin and Candace, Rachel. Those are my brothers and sisters' names. I'm the only one with a Akeem and last name Barber. Like, I'm like, how did you get that name? Hey, special. So my mother liked it. She gave it to me. That's the name she chose. What did I have up here? Amen. The propaganda narrative. Very interesting, Akeem. Peace, brother. Mr. T, pity the fool. Yeah. Why is these things not clicking? The story of Yakub. Hey, what you know about Yakub? $6 million man. Steve Ball said, man, Billy alive. Yeah. And speaking of Billy alive, that's why they be having to take all the medications. They can't. I'll say this. I'm allowed to tell you this. In the creation of that particular $6 million man, there was some mixture of other DNA. I won't go into that. But if you understand the nature and the type of animal they love, you'll know. And if you want to see like reinforcement of that, go watch the movie Jupiter Rising, and the guy that was protecting the woman who had the birthright. So $6 million man, there was some errors made, but there was some usefulness for it. This is why it was allowed to survive. But we won't go into that. Not now. Not now. Not now. All right. Well, with that being said, that's it. It's 11:21. I went well over an hour, and I said a lot, and I do realize I did. I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully, I see you guys on this weekend. I look forward to seeing you there at this seminar. All right. All right. Peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to everyone. You guys have a good rest of your Sunday. Peace. Sometimes you're going to find yourselves in a situation where you feel like you're being done wrong, but actually you're being done right because it's setting you up for the bigger opportunity. So always keep your integrity. Always. Never let your integrity go by the wayside, because integrity is all you got. Your reputation is all you got. And yes, being truthful and honorable will cause you to lose something short term only. And you lost that because it was protecting you for something bigger. And from that, I mean, I got lifelong connections in that community. You know, sometimes we talk, hey, Akeem, what's up? What you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You make connections. People who know my reputation, they call me, hey, this guy, he's dependable. And that's what you want to be. You want to be dependable to your people, to everyone.